Ow! Are you okay?
A little woozy, but I was wearing a helmet, so I don't have a concussion.
Well, a helmet doesn't actually protect you from getting a concussion, and also that's not a helmet. Here, let me explain.
A concussion, to put it simply, is what happens when the brain shakes around inside its cranial cavity. This can be in response to direct trauma or a rapid acceleration-deceleration event. For example, a roller coaster that starts way too suddenly for someone's head to handle. Overall, this is possible because of the brain's and cranial cavity's anatomy, which is surrounded by something called the meninges, made up of different layers that to some extent do cushion the brain, including the pia mater, arachnoid mater, and the dura mater, all surrounded by the skull. This is why, even though you might be wearing a helmet, the brain can still jostle around within the cranial cavity. Nothing is stopping it from doing so. So when it is jostled around, some damage can occur. I'll demonstrate this through a highly technological example: Jello.
So let's assume this jello is the brain, and this will be the meninges. It's kind of not snug on there, but there's a little bit of space so we can still jostle.
Now, as you can see, I barely attacked that plate, but the force proliferated across the jello. The brain is similar. It can get hit in one place, but the force will proliferate to the other end of the brain. That's a biology-physics overlap, and that's why the damage can be so, well, damaging. To explain this, let me explain what a brain cell is. In other words, a neuron, which is necessary for us to proliferate signals to think, talk, move, and all other brain functions. The axon is the longest part of the neuron, and it is necessary to proliferate a brain signal from one end of the neuron to the other. In something called diffuse axonal injury caused by the proliferating force in the brain from a concussion, we can experience neural shearing, which is where an axon will literally be sliced. In addition to this physical damage across cells, there can be biochemical damage, because there is something called an excitatory reaction brought upon by concussions. In between neurons, we have things called synapses, where different neurons will communicate using neurotransmitters, which are these little chemical signals. In the excitatory response of a concussion, these synapses will release a lot of excitatory neurotransmitters, such as glutamate. Excitatory functions are great when they are done in balance, but in this case it is far too much for the brain to handle, and strains already weakened neurons, causing more damage and cognitive impairment.
So do yourself a favor and keep your head safe, because our neurons are so complicated, but they do so much for us. Without them, I couldn't even be making this video. We're eating this jello.